Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Friday, the 7th day of August. Happy Friday, 2026. I hope you're all safe and healthy today. Hope your families are safe and healthy this morning and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the area of health, along with first responders who do all they can to save lives. Those also that pick up garbage to keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help, rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children, victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Those helping the people that are victims of prostitution, victims of child prostitution, victims of human trafficking, victims of pornography, victims of child pornography, victims of sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that create great demands that cause these evil and heinous industries to exist. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States of America. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Okay, there's been, as usual, a lot of very stupid talk about trading Deuce McBride. I am not going to get into prognostications about several things that a lot of people do as part of clickbait season, which is where we're in. There's several clickbait seasons. This is one of them. This is probably the worst one when you're in August before training camp. But one thing I know they're not going to do is trade Deuce McBride. The people that are mentioning that, as usual, are very short-sighted and they don't remember. What do I mean? Before Tom Thibodeau and after the Knicks championship and after Jeff Van Gundy and Pat Riley, the Knicks suffered through some terrible defensive years. Terrible defensive years. They were a top defensive team in the championship years with Walt Frazier at the top, with Earl Monroe at the top. Mike Reardon also was there before he was traded to the Bullets. Then it was called the Bullets of Baltimore at the time. But over the stretches of time after the championship years, and then before they got Pat Riley, and then after him, Jeff Van Gundy. In the years in between, they would struggle defensively. And especially this got very bad after Jeff Van Gundy. It got very bad because the organization was disorganized. A lot of decisions were being made directly by James Dolan, who admitted later he didn't know basketball enough to be making those decisions. He just had the power of the pen as the owner. Were made for disastrous years. When Tom Thibodeau came, then we got a little brief resurgence when Woodson took over. Woodson took over for Mike D'Antoni, who was a terrible defensive coach. Mike D'Antoni was not a defensive coach. He was an offensive coach. Woodson took over, and we started to see a little bit of a resurgence in the defense. But all the time, from all of the years, one of the main issues of defense the Knicks had was point of attack defense. Oftentimes, the Knicks would get cut up, sliced up, done up by guards of the other teams. They would come and have career years, career games against the Knicks because there was no presence, strong presence at the point of attack. Well, of course, Tom Thibodeau, being a defensive coach, he was not going to have that. And so he started to change the culture, okay? He started to change the culture, and he was, going to bring in some point of attack defense. Reggie Bullock, as we remember, Reggie Bullock was nowhere an all-star, but he was a solid defensive player at the point of attack. Alfred Payton was known for defense. In fact, he was so good at defense, people were complaining, as New Yorkers want to do, about his offense, which was lacking. But that shored up the point of attack defense, at least at the front of the starting five. Then, over the course of time, slowly Tibbs started putting his thumbprint on the Knicks in terms of defense. And again, starting with the point of attack. He drafts in the same draft Quentin Grimes and Deuce McBride. Okay. Now, that year, or the year after that, you ended up, the Don and him were not on the same page for a second. And the Don brings in Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, two weak defenders. Two anti-Tibbs defenders. Didn't really fit with what Tibbs wanted to do. And halfway through the season, he declared, I'm taking Kemba Walker out of the rotation. And they said, for how long? He said, permanently. He's out of the rotation. Like, Tibbs could not stand no weak defense. So he kept Fournier in there for shooting. But it didn't help, really, as Fournier's defensive weaknesses really came to the fore. And the thing is, in terms of NBA basketball, in defense, there's two areas you really obviously want. You want point of attack defense. That way you're stopping the opponent from getting in your paint, or at least slowing them down. It's not easy to do. This is the NBA. This is the league. People are very difficult to guard. So if you can get somewhat successful at preventing a point of attack penetration, you are a long way from helping yourself defensively. And then, of course, you'd like to have rim protection, right, if you can. Then you want to add wings if you can get some wings to play some defense. Well, now, slowly but surely, between the Don and Tibbs, they were building that, okay? And they started with the two kids they got. Quentin Grimes at the end of the first round, Deuce McBride at 36 in the second round. So now you're getting point of attack defense. And I heard everybody, this is the thing, because of the lack of understanding from people that says a lot but don't know what they're talking about on content, they focus on offense. What can the Knicks do offensively? How good can they do? Why is the ball, how come they're not getting enough pace and all of that? But the focus should always be defense. Defense is what brought the Knicks culture back. Okay, defense. Even with Jalen Brunson, we were having struggles because of his defensive lack. So, Brunson has gotten better on defense, tougher. He has improved. He will never be confused with an all-defensive team, but he's improved greatly. And of course, you add Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart. Now you have legit point of attack defense in the starting unit, and then you get a Deuce McBride and Shamet, and you have point of attack defense in the second unit. So no matter what you're playing, first or second unit, you have point of attack defense. Then you get both Deuce and Shamet that can get hot and shoot three-pointers at a high clip, okay? Both of those guys, let me just look it up, but I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to tell you right now, I bet you're going to look at both those guys over 40% from the three. So let's see. Let's take a look at it. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm looking at it live and direct so we can all see it. Okay, so let's see. McBride was the top three-point shooter last year on the Knicks. He would do almost 7 attempts a game and shoot 41%. Josh Hart was a key in the chip run in this regard. People were letting him shoot because he was the guy that you're going to let shoot in that starting lineup. He would shoot 4 a game. He was hitting 41%. Shamet would shoot 5 a game, was hitting 39. I thought he was going to be a little higher because he did have some big games, shooting 39%. Then Kolick, we kind of figured Kolick could shoot eventually once he got acclimated to the speed, 38.39%. And Anunoby, one of the top corner shooters in the league. So the Knicks had three-point shooters and point of attack defense and rim protection. And even Cat, who was not known as a defensive player coming out of Minnesota when we traded for him, improved his defense last year noticeably. So, and took a back seat to Brunson. And then between Cat, Mike Brown, and Jalen Brunson and the coaching staff figured out, listen, we need to get Cat the ball. And they did. And everybody was on board with it. That's when the Knicks started rampaging. Okay, so to talk about trading a guy that's one of your top point of attack defenders after years of not having it. And I saw one guy, I had to cut him off from seeing his comments on X. He said, McBride faded last year, so we need to trade him. I don't know if we remember, but Deuce had hernia surgery in February and rushed to get back for the playoffs. He was not at his best, and yet, to close out Philly, he hit 7 3-pointers in the first half. But forget about that. He faded, so we need to trade him. That's how short-sighted people think that are in a checkers game. Deuce is going to be 26 in September. He's going to be 26, which means he's 1 year from officially entering his prime. Deuce has now been in the rotation for 3 years now. Okay, he's been on the team like 5 years, something like that. It's 5th year, maybe 6th year, but he's been in the rotation like 3 years now. He knows his place. He knows his role. He's going to be better this year. I mean, I'm not saying he needs to be, but he's going to be. The real question with respect, and everybody is trying to prognosticate and be false prophets about what they think is going to happen with the contracts. I've been saying this. Brunson set the tone. Brunson set the tone in taking the money that he took and leaving the money that he left. He opened the door for what became OG, Mikal Bridges, and finally, Karl Anthony Towns. Cat caught that memo. Cat is a very intelligent young man. He's big, got big feet, but if you listen to him talk, he's a very intelligent and thoughtful young man. He made already a lot of money. Not saying he's going to give up money. Somebody said, so you're saying he's going to take the biggest cut in history? Why is it that somebody on Prozac or something got to act like it's 5 alarm all the time? I don't know. But anyway, nobody's asking him to take the biggest cut in NBA history. But he can take a cut and still get paid a lot of freaking money. Again, if he was to take 4 years, 180, that's $45 million a year. That saves the Knicks $16 million in second apron space. Just him. So a lot with respect to the contracts, and I've been saying this. I think Deuce is an $8 million a year player, 8 to 9. I think that's a fair number for him. And I think that would probably be where he would be. It depends, because the Knicks have his rights. He can sign a 5-year contract with the Knicks. Okay, he could do that. So I don't know what he's going to do, but he's able to do that. It could be 5 years, $40 million, 5 years, $45 million, however you want to do it. One thing Leon Rose has consistently done is he really fits the contract with him and Brock, with the cap. So depending on how it helps the cap, Deuce might start. See, if you look at Shamet, if you look at Alvarado, they both got contracts, but the first year those contracts are lower to help the Knicks. See, everybody caught the memo. And having won a chip, everybody wants more. Everybody, from Brunson down, everybody wants more. Cat too. So I am 90% sure Cat is going to take less. How much less is what we need to know. And if I'm Cat, if you're a Cat, and this is how you have to understand what your players are like. If you're a Cat and you're willing to help the team by taking the cut, what would you want to know? How much can I make, and how much less do I have to make to be able to bring back Josh, to be able to bring back Deuce? That's what you want to know. And you'll measure, and it doesn't have to be a huge cut for that to happen. And then look at this now. If you look at the threshold for second apron this year, about $222 million. Next year is $234 million. So that just because of the increase, you have $7 million in second apron space at the end of the season. It could even be more, though. We're talking about Cat. Really, it's Cat. Cat is the decision maker here. He's eligible based on his play, his record, what he's done, $272 million. I don't think he's going to get that. I don't think he wants to get that, because he's going to take a slight hit so that they can bring these other guys back. How much of a hit, I don't know. But the talk of trading Deuce, and some idiot, let me not say that. Somebody said we want to trade Deuce to get a backup center. Anyway, the Knicks are already working on getting more players because they only have 13 signed. We have already seen Jeremy Sohan is going to be a Portland Trailblazer. He's going to Portland. Jemison signed a 2-way deal, I think with Toronto. So we're already seeing, if the likelihood is we're already not going to see Sohan back. We're not going to see Jemison back. Dylan Jones, Kevin McCullough, as much as we like both of those guys, there's a possibility they haven't been signed yet. So we don't know what's going to happen. The two rookies, there's all this talk about Nickel going back to college. The only reason he would do that is to make more money. That's the only reason he would do that. Okay? Because the NIL money. If it wasn't for that, it's a no-brainer. He stays on the Knicks and tries to develop with the Knicks and next year, hopefully get a regular contract. This year, he might get a two-way or something and then come back with a regular contract. KAYIL you forget, KAYIL's too good. He's staying. Okay? KAYIL is not a present value player. He's a future value player. You got one with him. You could stash him either in Germany. I think he's going to stay in New York, and he's going to play, and he's going to develop, and he's going to get better. He's already a solid guard. I mean, he really is. So how they structure his deal, if he's going to get the second round exception money, I wouldn't be surprised because that's how Leon Rose operates. There's that. So right now, because the Knicks have won a championship, we talked about this many times, you don't need to be talking about trading anybody at all. Kolek, I mentioned Kolek and Daddy because Daddy doesn't play. But you don't have to trade him. You could just sit tight and keep your whole team together. And I think really most people that are rational would say, you know what, I'd like to do that. Let's bring the whole band back. We had to lose Mitchell Robinson, but as I mentioned yesterday and many times before, that was planned. We knew we were going to lose him. They weren't going to pay him $47 million. Even if they could, they wouldn't do it. But by Dolan running interference for the Don and saying, I'm not going over the second apron. That's the owner. I'm not going over the second apron. So now that means Mitch Rob is done. That's it. Because he wants more money. You can't blame him. Okay, he's been with the Knicks 8 years. Put his time in. Now he wants the chip. Okay, go get your money. But we ain't going to die because we don't got Mitchell Robinson. We ain't need to be trading away rotation players because we don't have Mitchell Robinson. So the Don's already working on things. We're going to find out what he's working on. I know a lot of people can't wait. You're anxious, and that anxiousness is causing people to say stupid things. Just wait. Just wait. I am very confident in what Leon Rose, Walt Perrin, Brock Eiler, Worldwide West. I am very confident. We should all be confident. They have already shown that they know what they're doing. There's no need for all of the stupid second guessing and trade talk. It's really short-sighted. I don't understand maybe it's because this channel is for the Knicks. This channel wants to see them win another championship. And we've seen a lot. I've had a couple of people come on. I've been a Knicks fan for 50 years. I've been a Knicks fan for 56 years. I've been a Knicks fan since the last chip. A lot of people. Y'all understand what we've been through to get here. The people that I'm talking about. You know. It's these younger folks that are into NBA 2K. And now that we're in a social media information age, which we've been for like now 20, 30 years, but it's just progressing. Everybody wants clicks. See, it's like it used to be when there was black and white TVs, it was commercials. It's still commercials, that make money for networks. Okay, it's commercials. And the more people watch whatever the show is that's being aired, the more commercials can play, the more money the network makes. Now it's about clicks because it's the same thing. It's advertising. You're getting advertising. Even my videos, you all would notice you'll get advertising in the videos. Well, that's how I get any money I get from YouTube. It comes from the advertising. Okay, so the more clicks you get, the more advertising, the more money. So that's the big game. It's the click game. But people don't understand that, and so then you buy into what the clicks are there to get you doing, which is click and then talk about what you saw or what you heard. And then you get all these rumors, and then people start talking to other people, and that's how it goes, okay? The blessing for me in this is that it used to affect James Dolan. It used to make him make decisions. That's how we got Andrea Bargnani. He dropped 40 on the Knicks in Toronto one year. All of a sudden, we got him now. And he couldn't even hardly walk, much less run. So Now, Dolan, and then of course the Carmelo Anthony debacle, which I can call it a debacle now. You know what happened? The Knicks traded away what they had carefully built as the future to get Carmelo, and then Amari Stoudemire, which you already had, who already had 100-year-old knees and $100 million contract to go with that. It was a bad move. But we have seen it, we have lived through it, we have dealt with it. Dolan has learned. He went and gets Leon Rose, lets him and World Wide West run the show, and the show ends up in chip gold. So now we want to repeat. So what you want to do is bring back the band as much as you can. So we get Andre Drummond. Okay, he's not Mitchell Robinson. And that's good and bad. It's good in the sense he ain't going to get hurt like Mitchell Robinson. It's bad in the sense that he's not an offensive rebounder, Robinson is. But if you don't understand Andre Drummond's a major rebounder, you just don't know. You ain't been paying attention. Since he came out of UConn, boy, been a rebounding fool. Since he came out of UConn, he got his big money because of his rebounding. So we ain't going to lose too much there. And by having Shamet and Deuce and Clarkson, who was much better at point of attack defense than we all thought because he was known as an offensive player. Okay, with the Lakers, with Cleveland, with Utah, he was an offensive player. He was actually sixth man of the year one point. He became a defensive player. See, it was kind of contagious. So you can't have, if you're going to have a 10-man roster, rotation or 11-man rotation, you cannot have too many defensive players, not in the NBA. Okay, you can have too many offensive players. And they could score. Look, you ever see James Harden? They could score, but they fold at the end. Because you win chips by getting stops. And you get stops starting with the point of attack. That is why they are not trading Deuce McBride. Other teams may want him, of course. Everybody wants point of attack defense. But it ain't happening. Not right now. So the key thing here is to see what Karl-Anthony Towns signs for. I am very confident he's not going to get the max that he could get. He's not going to do that. Just like a few years ago, if you recall, Juju was eligible for a max contract. And everybody was making a big deal of what he left on the table. But the truth was the Knicks were not going to pay him that. And nobody was, even though he was technically eligible. He wasn't going to get paid that. Well, it's the same with Cat. Cat is now, 31? Cat 31? Yeah, Cat 31. Cat 31. Going to be 30. Is he really? I thought he was 30. Let me just look at this again. That's older than I thought too. But, he's 30. Yeah, he's 30. Born November 15th, 1995. So he's 30. He'll be 31 in November. You still got, a prime year or two out of Cat. But it's not going to be 4 or 5. You're going to be paying a guy a lot of money for about 2 years. That's really not going to be what he is now. That's why I don't think anybody wants to do that. And Leon Rose especially. And Cat, I think Cat's on board with it. So they're going to get Cat a lot of money. There's no question. But the $61 million, that's his player option for 27, 28, I'm pretty confident you can see he's going to let that go. And he'll take something, even if he takes $50 million, he can get a 5-year, $250 million contract and still save the Knicks money. It's not that hard, That's what I'm saying. People are making complicated what's not complicated. It's not that hard. $250 million, that's a lot of money. And he still saves the Knicks. And the key thing in talking about savings is what are we saving next season? Not this one coming, next season. Because next season, that's when you got to re-sign Hart. You have to re-sign Deuce for an extension this year, but it takes place next season. That's why you're starting off with $7 million, but you can easily get that number up. You can get that number up to, I don't know. You can get that number up. You can get that number over $20 million. When you talk about the savings you can get from Cat, the savings you can get from Josh, the savings you can get from Daddy A, when you talk about all that, you can bring that number up. Even if you're going to pay now, Deuce is unrestricted. They got him, estimated 7.5, which is about right. And the reason they did that is because they go by the percentage of the cap he takes. So, for example, Cat takes 35% of the cap. So 35% of where the cap is where you get the number from. Same with Brunson. Brunson takes 23% of the cap. Now, right now, Deuce is taking 2.4% of the cap, which they're estimating might increase to 4.3. It ain't going to be a killer to bring Deuce back. They bringing him back. So, again, watch the clickbait. It really is ridiculous sometimes, but especially we talk about, you know how sensitive I am about Deuce, and somebody came on the channel, which I deleted him from my channel. You know who you are. You know, if he wants 9 million, he's going to be traded. Anyway, that's the deal. That's the story. So really, we're looking to see, and I think we're going to see sooner rather than later what Cat money is. He's going to extend for. He's going to see sooner rather than later. As far as a center, I think the Don. I know the Don is working on it. We don't know who it is, what it is, but it's going to be. Okay, we don't know who it is or what it is, but it's going to be, and it ain't going to be nothing that's going to hurt us. We're going to be good. Okay. This summer is, and I think some of y'all agree, this is the most fun summer we have had in most of y'all's lifetimes. Like, I remember when the Knicks won the chips, it was fun then. It was fun for a few years then in the 70s, but faded away. But now we got that back. Okay, we're enjoying. All the teams are trying to match up with the Knicks. Everybody is. Everybody. East and West. Now, it's been going East, West, East, West, East, West in terms of chips for the last 8 years. East, West, East, West. West Coast team, East Coast team. East Coast team, West Coast team. So we just won the chip. So watch out of the West. Somebody going to come. Like, you got Oklahoma City, you got San Antonio. You're going to have that. That's going to come. And then there's going to be a surprise team. I don't know who it is. We'll find out. There's always a surprise team. This is part of the league. It always is. We'll find out who it is soon. But you're always going to have a surprise team. So for now, in the Western Conference, you got OKC, San Antonio, could be Denver, could be the Lakers, could be, you got a lot of candidates here. Okay, you got a lot of candidates. I'm not thinking it's Golden State. I don't care what they do. New Orleans could be a surprise team if Zion is in shape. They got a nice team. You know, they got some nice rookies, youngins. They develop in the bench. They're not going to win the West, but they could be moving up. So there's going to be some competition. And everybody, no matter what they're doing, is thinking about the Knicks and what to do about us. And we just getting ready for the season. This is beautiful, man. Please enjoy the championship run, the afterglow. And we getting ready to go for more. Shalom.